Step 1.
Place a curved scud hook into the jaws of the vise and attach the tying thread at the hook eye and snap the thread off just by pulling down on the bobbin and then snapping the thread against the flow of the thread. We want to cover that hook shank up, provide a good base for the materials to be tied down to.
Step 2.
Take a length of fine copper wire and bind it in place on top of the hook shank. This provides a good firm purchase by binding it all the way down so it doesn't inadvertently pull out.
Is that laying right across the top of the hook?
Yeah, when I wind my ribs in the same direction as the body materials, I always tie them in place on top of the hook.
Step 3.
Take some stretch flex. We're going to trim one end of it to a point to ease the tying in. Then actually reverse this and tie the scud back in place on top of the hook shank so the waist is actually trailing out in front. This allows us to really get a good purchase on the material, and it aids in durability. It's less likely to pull out after the ravages of a few good-sized trout.
How long do these generally last?
Well, with the amount of fish I get, not very long. No, seriously, they're a very durable fly. Very simple and durable.
Step 4.
Next, we're going to take a length of crystal chenille, strip the fibers off one end, and tie that little stub of thread core in right at the end of the hook there where the wire is in place.
How closely matched is the chenille to the scud back?
You want to have the colors to complement each other, to obviously match the naturals, but generally you're looking for a dark back and a light belly to simulate the natural scuds.
Step 5.
Now we're just going to start winding the crystal chenille up the hook shank in close touching turns. And I'm using the thumb and forefinger of my non-tying hand to sweep the fibers back out of the way to make a nice full body with lots of fibers radiating out.
Pulling fairly tight on the chenille?
Yeah, you want a good firm control. Obviously you don't want to pull a vise all over the table, but you want to be in control so it's a good secure fly. Aids in durability. And we're just going to pull that up to the tying thread. Don't want to crowd the head. A few wraps right over top to tie it off. And I always like to fold my materials back and throw a few extra wraps in front. This helps lock the materials in place, again aiding durability.
Step 6.
Take our copper wire and place a half a turn, and then fold the scud back over the top, and then bind the shell back in place using the fine copper wire. That half turn makes sure that the first wrap actually starts on the body and tends not to flare the rear of the scud back out too much at the rear of the fly. And once again, we're going to bring that tying thread up, a few wraps to tie it down, one or two in front to lock it in place, and then use our thumb and forefinger to hold it in place and break the wire.
Step 7.
Take our whip finisher, place it on the tying thread, form our little triangle, build the head using the whip finisher. That way you have a nice neat head when you're done, and just pull that out and trim the excess tying thread.
Step 8.
Now for the final trim, we're going to gather our scud back, double it on itself, and then trim it with the scissors on about a 30-degree angle, creating a nice little V tail. And it's a stretchy material, so don't pull too hard or you'll end up with a short, stubby tail. We'll just trim these errant fibers along the sides of the fly just to provide the finishing touches. There you have a completed Sparkle Scud. The crystal chenille does an excellent job suggesting the translucence of the naturals.